What's up, everybody? So I'm here in downtown Nashville on Broadway, and what do you know Nashville for? Of course, country music, the music capital of the world. But did you know that it was the birthplace of the queen of the pinups herself, Bettie Page, or just simply Bettie Page? And right across the street, this high school right here is the high school that Bettie Page attended and graduated from. Let's walk across the street and have a closer look. I did not know that this was Nashville's first public school, actually. And this marker here says Nashville's first public school, Hume Fogg High School, opened here February 26, 1855. A 3-story brick building. The school employed 12 teachers and served all grades. In 1874, high school classes were moved to Fogg School, built on adjoining corner lot, named for educators Alfred E. Hume and Francis B. Fogg. The schools were replaced by Hume Fogg in 1912. Okay, so that makes sense of why it was first named, Hume School, so they merged. Now let's go find the plaque that was dedicated to Bettie Page. Front door here. Kind of looks like an old mental asylum. All right. So I spotted her plaque. I thought it was on the front lawn, but here it is right here on the side of the school. So Bettie Page died in 2008, and she attended this high school from 1936 until, of course, here 1940. One of 6 children, Bettie Page graduated from Hume Fogg High School in 1940. By the way, she was also voted most popular to succeed. And she also graduated from George Peabody College in 1944. That is now, it's part of Vanderbilt University. And I was gonna contact Vanderbilt because they have some records, some comic books, a collection of information. But I read that you would have to get a few copyrights, and it would take 2 or 3 different people outside of the school for me to contact, to get in there and take pictures and film what I wanted to show. So I'm not going to go through all of that. So before moving to New York to work as a model and actress, she became one of the most photographed pinup models of the 1950s and retired from public life in 1957. She disappeared from public life because there was some kind of scrutiny about the bondage that she was doing. And she actually, in 1959, she started working for Billy Graham. Page became an evangelical Christian and maintained a reclusive lifestyle, though she developed an underground cult following and was hailed as a feminist icon prior to her death in Los Angeles in 2008. Here's the side of the school, like literally just right off of Broadway, next to these other old historical buildings. I assume that it was a lot different in the 50s or the 40s when she went here. Let's actually walk up the steps to the back of the school over here. And I don't think that I don't think the school itself has any records of Bettie Page. So this is the dilemma. The marker that I just showed you is the only thing in the entire state of Tennessee that is a tribute to Bettie Page, that shows that she was here at all. There was a mural that was painted in 2022, but since then I found out that has been painted over, so that doesn't exist anymore. There is no childhood home. I read that her parents were more than likely just renters. So there's no location, public location for a home. I know that she was put into a foster home for about a year out here. I saw this from one of the documentaries that I watched briefly. And that's really about it. And here's another funny thing. When I was in Los Angeles last year and I filmed Marilyn Monroe's graveyard, it turns out, maybe I thought that since she was from Nashville, that she might have had a grave out here. But it turns out the same graveyard that I made a video about with Marilyn Monroe, that is where Bettie Page was also buried. I had no idea. So Bettie Page would have got out of school every day and walked down these very steps right across the street from this temple customs house. I guess it's what it used to be. I'm not sure exactly what it is anymore. But yeah, like I said, that's about the extent of the history that Bettie Page has in Nashville, Tennessee. But there is a guy that I'm trying to get in contact with. It's actually the guy that had the state of Nashville, Tennessee, resurrect the marker for her. And so I found him on Instagram, and I'm gonna kind of brief him of what I'm doing, trying to get a little more history. I know that he lives out in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, and so I'm gonna try to get in contact with him. And if I can't, then well, that's just that, and I'll just, this will be the video. But it would be really cool to get in contact with that guy, because he has a huge collection, and he's actually the guy I read that started the Bettie Page podcast. So if I can get in contact with him and arrange some kind of meeting, and he can show me all of his collection, that would be dope. But if not, like I said, that's the end of the video. if I can rearrange a meeting with this guy, the video will continue watching, because that's going to be really cool if I can get that done. It would make the video. My part is done. There's nothing else for me to show. Like I said, there's no childhood home. There's no paintings around the city. There's no graveyard. She was buried in Los Angeles, California. So my part's done. Hopefully I can meet this guy. And from here at the Fogg Hume High School, here in Broadway in Nashville. Have a good one. I'll see you next time. So I almost forgot to mention that when Bettie Page disappeared from public eye in 1959, she reemerged in the 80s and the 90s, and she became this cult symbolism, this cult symbol for an entire new generation. And a lot of her stuff, her image was being used. So it was Hugh Hefner that got her the money, the residuals from all the images, and I read that's how she made more money from when her career was over, when her image and, you know, her trademark long black bangs, almost said veins, and she made more money from that after her career was almost 30 years over with, after she disappeared. And a whole new generation brought her back to life. Like reestablished her back into the public eye. And I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty telling of the impact that, you know, she made just in a good 7 years of her career. And she's one of the most interesting, mysterious people. Even more so, I think it even rivals Marilyn Monroe. The mystique. And it, you know, I think Nashville should have more around the city about Bettie Page, in my opinion. You know, she made a huge impact on pop culture. Maybe just as much as James Dean, Marilyn Monroe. She had that kind of aura about her. So again, I didn't want to leave that out, and I appreciate you watching. I wish I had some more to show, but you know, I didn't even know that she was from Nashville until a few days ago when I was doing some research, and I found out that they had a plaque down here at the high school she went to. So I was like, okay, well, that's pretty cool. I'll go down there and show you guys. So yeah, peace out.